What if history isn't just a series of events, but a cycle of echoes? What if the rise and fall of leaders, those who shaped nations for better or worse, are not unique, but eerily familiar? Today, we dive into the echoes of power, tracing the leadership of Donald Trump through the shadows of history's most controversial rulers. Adolf Hitler, Benito Mussolini, Vladimir Putin, Silvio Berlusconi, Ronald Reagan, and Andrew Jackson. Was Trump's presidency a historical anomaly, or does it mirror the patterns of leaders who came before him? And what can these echoes tell us about power, leadership, and the future of democracy? To understand the echoes of power, we must first understand the times that shaped these leaders. The 20th and 21st centuries have been defined by seismic shifts, economic crises, social upheaval, and the rise of populism. In the 1930s, the world was reeling from the Great Depression. In Germany, Adolf Hitler rose to power by exploiting fear and promising a return to greatness. In Italy, Benito Mussolini used charisma and propaganda to establish a fascist regime. Fast forward to the 21st century, and we see similar patterns. Vladimir Putin consolidating power in Russia, Silvio Berlusconi blending media and politics in Italy, and Donald Trump harnessing the frustrations of a divided America. But what connects these leaders across time and space? And why does their leadership style resonate or repel so deeply? Every leader has a defining moment, a decision that cements their legacy. For Hitler, it was the Reichstag fire decree, which suspended civil liberties and paved the way for dictatorship. For Mussolini, it was the March on Rome, where he seized power through intimidation. For Donald Trump, it was January 6th, 2021, the day a mob stormed the U.S. Capitol. Was this the culmination of a leadership style that echoed the past? Or was it a unique moment in American history? Today we'll explore how Trump's rhetoric, tactics, and policies mirror those of history's most controversial rulers, and what that means for the future of democracy. Trump's rise to power was fueled by a potent mix of charisma, media savvy, and populist rhetoric. He promised to make America great again, tapping into the frustrations of a working class left behind by globalization. But his tactics, attacking the media, demonizing opponents, and undermining institutions, raised alarm bells. Were these strategies unique to Trump, or did they echo the playbooks of leaders like Hitler, Mussolini, and Putin? Hitler used propaganda to control the narrative, Mussolini relied on spectacle to maintain power, and Putin has weaponized disinformation to destabilize democracies. As Trump's presidency unfolded, the parallels became harder to ignore. But was he following a script written by history or rewriting it entirely? On January 6th, 2021, the world watched as a mob stormed the U.S. Capitol, fueled by claims of a stolen election. For many, it was a shocking moment, a breach of democracy. But for historians, it was a chilling echo of the past. Hitler's beer hall putsch in 1923 was a failed coup that later became a rallying cry for his rise to power. Mussolini's March on Rome in 1922 was a show of force that intimidated his opponents into submission. Was January 6th a similar turning point? Did Trump's leadership style, his rhetoric, his refusal to concede, his flirtation with authoritarianism, mirror the tactics of history's most controversial rulers? And if so, what does that mean for the future of democracy? The fallout from January 6th was immediate. Trump was impeached for a second time. Social media platforms banned him, and the world questioned the stability of American democracy. But the long-term consequences are still unfolding. Historians have drawn parallels to the aftermath of Hitler's rise, Mussolini's fall, and Putin's consolidation of power. Each of these leaders left a legacy of division, distrust, and institutional erosion. As we reflect on Trump's presidency, we must ask, Are we witnessing a new chapter in history or a repeat of the past? And what can we learn from these echoes of power to safeguard the future? But here's the twist. History doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes. While Trump's leadership echoes the past, it also raises new questions. Was his presidency a warning sign for democracies worldwide? Or was it a unique moment in American history, shaped by the unique challenges of the 21st century? And what about the leaders who came before him? Reagan, Jackson, Berlusconi? How do their legacies fit into this puzzle? The echoes of power are complex, and the answers are far from clear. Now for the current American government administration, we will explore the striking parallels between Trump and 6 historical leaders, analyze their policies, and predict how Trump's legacy might unfold. Will Trump's populism lead to lasting change, or will it deepen America's political divides? From the populist fervor of Andrew Jackson to the authoritarian grip of Mussolini, history is filled with leaders who reshaped their nations with bold, controversial agendas. But how does Donald Trump's presidency compare to these historical giants? And what can their rise and fall tell us about the future of America and the world? Andrew Jackson, the 7th U.S. president, was a populist firebrand who rallied against elites and fought for the common man. Sound familiar? Trump's America First agenda echoes Jackson's economic nationalism and distrust of the establishment, Jackson's dismantling of the second bank of the U.S. versus Trump's deregulation of Wall Street. Both leaders faced fierce opposition, but maintained a loyal base. Jackson's presidency ended with mixed results: economic growth, but also the trail of tears. Nationalism and xenophobia. Adolf Hitler and Donald Trump. While the comparison is controversial, Trump's rhetoric on immigration and us versus them nationalism has drawn parallels to Hitler's early rhetoric. But the scale and intent are vastly different. Hitler's extreme nationalism led to genocide. Trump's policies focus on border security and economic protectionism. Both leaders used media to amplify their messages, Hitler through propaganda, Trump through Twitter. Hitler's regime ended in devastation. Trump's legacy will depend on how his policies shape America's future. Trump's immigration policies may redefine America's identity, but will they unite or divide the nation? Authoritarianism and strongman politics. Mussolini and Putin both rose to power by promising to restore their nations to greatness. Trump's "Make America Great Again" slogan taps into the same sentiment. Mussolini's state-controlled economy versus Trump's deregulation and tax cuts. Putin's authoritarianism and media control versus Trump's battles with the press. Mussolini's regime collapsed in World War II. Putin remains in power, but faces growing opposition. Will Trump's strongman tactics strengthen America's global standing, or will they erode democratic norms? Media influence and populist appeal. Berlusconi and Trump both used their media savvy to bypass traditional politics and connect directly with voters. But their reliance on controversy and spectacle came at a cost. Berlusconi's tax cuts and economic policies versus Trump's tax reform. Both leaders faced legal challenges and accusations of corruption. Berlusconi's legacy is marred by scandal. Trump's remains uncertain. Will Trump's media dominance secure his legacy, or will it overshadow his policy achievements? Economic nationalism and deregulation. Reagan and Trump both championed tax cuts and deregulation, but their approaches reflect different eras and ideologies. Reagan's trickle-down economics versus Trump's populist tax reform. Both leaders prioritized American businesses but faced criticism for widening inequality. Reagan's policies spurred economic growth but increased national debt. Will Trump's economic agenda lead to long-term prosperity, or will it exacerbate economic inequality? Judicial appointments and foreign policy. Trump's judicial appointments and America First foreign policy have reshaped the U.S. role in global affairs. But how will these decisions impact the world? Trump's conservative judiciary appointments versus Reagan's legacy of judicial influence. Trump's isolationist foreign policy versus historical leaders who embraced globalism. History shows that judicial and foreign policy decisions can have lasting impacts, both positive and negative. Trump's legacy will hinge on whether his policies strengthen America's global influence or isolate it from its allies. From Jackson to Putin, history offers lessons on the rise and fall of leaders who reshaped their nations. Trump's presidency is still unfolding, but the echoes of the past remind us that leadership is as much about the present as it is about the future. What will history say about Donald Trump? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain: his presidency will leave an indelible mark on America and the world. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into history and politics.